Welcome to the simplest explanation of Facade. So what is Facade? Why we need Facade and how to implement our own Facade? We are going to cover these three topics in this episode, but what exactly Facade is? So it is just like a wrapper around non-static function to a static function. This means you can call a non-static function just like you call a static function. If you're not getting this, let me explain you. So suppose we have a cache and we are going to set the cache with the name as Sarthak and like this, and then I'm going to get cache get name. So what about this? Is it going to work? Obviously it is going to work. I am on web.php file, so if I go here, refresh this page, Sarthak is here. That's cool. And this shows that set is a non-static function. But if you have little bit idea about Laravel, or if you have used it, you probably have seen that you can call the same function just like this. And that time you need to use cache facade. And this is not file system, we need to use cache facade, and that will be like this. And this is going to work absolutely fine. So if I go refresh this page, yes, exactly the same result. So what exactly the type of this set and get function is? Is it a static function or a non-static function? To have an idea about this, let's go to cache repository. So I will say cache repository, and now here you can see at the line 227 I have a set which is a non-static function. Similarly, you can search for get and you can see get again is a non-static function. So how this Facade is going to call a non-static function just like a static function. So that happened because of Facade. So Facade looks like a simple class which is going to extend the base facade of Laravel container, or we can say core Laravel, not container, and then it just have a one function, protected static function called get facade accessor, where we are giving the facade name, where we are giving the binding name. So this is the Facade. And why we need Facade? Because this implementation looks very easy and very clean, and also you don't have to worry about how you can initialize any class, and that's the pain point. But by using Facade, everything is taken care by Laravel and the service container. So we know what is Facade, non-static function to a static function. Why we need it? Because it's so clean and it can resolve with the dependencies, and also it is very easy to test. Let's implement our own Facade, which is going to look similar to the Facade which is we have seen here. So for that, for implementing our own Facade, I'm going to create a class called fish, and this fish have a function called swim. So return swimming, another function called eat, and here we are saying eating. And how we can create the Facade for it? That's a challenging part. But let's see how we call this swim and eat. It's very easy. We need to say fish is equal to new fish, and then we call fish and swim. This is the normal way. Yeah, swimming. Because this fish class doesn't have any dependencies, so it's look very clean. But when we have lots of dependencies like new other class, then that class also require new some other class, then it will become painful. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bind this with our container. So I will say whenever I call fish, you need to give me the fish class. So return new fish. And you know what is container, how to bind these things. So let's create our own facade. Very easy. Let's say a new class called fish facade, and here I'm going to use a magic function which is called call static. So this will have two arguments like name and args, that means argument, and it is a static function. Okay, so first thing I am going to dump name, and we will see how this is going to work. So if I say fish facade and call any random function, which is obviously not available, and function, it doesn't matter. Okay, so what is the result? Because we have used this magic function, whenever we are calling any static function which is not available on this class, it will call this function, and this function has this name which is actually the any random function, literal. So if I go refresh this page, yeah, any random function is there. This is because we have dump name here. So if we want to say fish facade and swim like this, so if I refresh, we get the swim. That means here we can access that function name. It's now becoming very easy because now we can say return app make, and we are calling, or we are resolving this fish class from the container, not directly, because we want this to be implemented one time only if we have various dependencies. So now we have resolved this fish, and then we call that function on this fish class. So look at this. We are trying to access this fish class statically, but behind the scene we are calling this as a non-statically. So if I go refresh this page, it is not there because we need to dump it. So dump, refresh this page, swimming is there. Yeah, very cool. This means now it is becoming general. So we have two functions, swim and eat. We can simply call eat function also. So refresh and eating is there. So whatever the number of functions you have, you can easily call on this facade. So this is the simplest explanation of facade. But I told you that we need to create a general facade which just look like this. Okay, so let's create another class simple called bike. Bike has a simple function called start, and I'm going to return starting. Let's bind this also to the container. So app bind, whenever I am calling bind, I will get new, and that has to be return new bike. Yeah, this is again binded, and if we want, we can create a simple facade for bike facade also like this. But I want to make general facade so that I don't have to write this static function, call static magic function again and again. So here I will create a class called facade, and I will move this magic function from here to this class, and now let's extend our base facade class. Now instead of this fish, I'm going to create a function here, function like this, and this function name is get facade accessor, and this time I'm going to give a string which is going to resolved from the container. So for the fish facade, the accessor is fish. Similarly, for this bike facade, the accessor is bike, and this accessor is actually the string we have binded to the service container. So look at this, it is looking just like we have cache facade, protected static function get facade. So make it protected, I think, and protected static. I want this to be same as this, that's why I am making it protected static, and that has to be static actually. So this is looking very similar to this cache facade class. Now let's implement this. So instead of hard coding this, I want to get the accessor name via get accessor. So static get facade accessor, and let's create a dummy function so that it can override. So get facade accessor, and not going to implement anything. Okay, so we have done this, and this has to be again protected static. So whenever we are calling like this facade eat, it will go to fish facade. It will say, okay, eat function is not there, that means I need to go to call static magic function. It will say, okay, resolve from the accessor, which is fish in this case, and then call that function. This means if I go to here, eating is there. If I say swim, swimming is there. Also, if I try to access bike facade, and I will say start, and we are getting this error because we have not extended our base facade. So extends facade, and now if I go refresh this page, starting is there. So this is how you can see it is very easy to create your own facade, but Laravel has given you everything for creating the facade very easily. So you can see our facade is looking similar to the Laravel facade, and this is how you can create your own facade. I think you got this idea how facade is going to work. So let's again recap everything. I have a class called fish. We have a function, non-static function swim and eat. Then I'm binding that fish class to the container so that I don't have to initialize this fish class again and again. Then I have a bike class which having a non-static function called start. Again, I'm binding this bike class to the service container. Then I have a base facade class which is having a magic function called static magic function, and a protected static function called get accessor, get facade accessor. Get facade accessor is overwritten in every facade class we have created. Like fish facade is overwriting this get facade accessor, which is returning this fish. Similar, bike facade is returning bike. So on this base facade class, we get the facade accessor, and then we are resolving it from the container. App make means resolving. We are fetching from the container and then calling the function we are trying to access. So this is how you can call bike facade start, and this start function is actually not inside facade, not inside base facade. It is inside a simple class, and it's a non-static function. So I think you got how facade created what is facade. And if you have any question, you can email me, message me anywhere. It's lots of platforms are there, and we will meet in the next episode somewhere to learn more about Laravel. Till then, goodbye.